Hello friends, I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? Hope it's fantastic. Everything here is great. No, I'm not going to read you more bad poetry, but I might do something with this someday. Don't know. But I wanted to thank you, everybody, those of you who left comments or messaged me privately about my bad poetry. I appreciate it. I've thought a good bit about this. Thought about what I said yesterday, which is strange because I don't really do that very often. And I thought about my embarrassment of this. And I think it comes down to, well, I know what it comes down to. It comes down to confidence. I think everything that I've ever done is either succeeds or fails due to confidence. And maybe that's true for everyone, but I know it's especially true for me. I don't think I'm a perfectionist, but I set expectations and I intend to achieve those expectations. And when I don't, then it's a disaster, and I have a really hard time finishing. Case in point, here sits the top to the new workbench. The base of the workbench is sitting there unfinished because I realized that the way that I made it is terrible and it sucks. And I don't want to redo all that work, and I'm not motivated to finish it. But I'm going to. It's just, right now it's a matter of time. This stuff, though, one of the things that I said was embarrassing about this yesterday was that this was never really intended to be yours to consume. Like, I wasn't writing this for anybody else. Obviously, as the story that I told about, keeping my drafts and putting together a collection, yeah, that was something that I wanted to share. But I also envisioned that as not a published thing for the masses, but a thing for my personal house. Like, here's on my table is my poetry, and if you come to my house and you sit at my couch, you can read it. But that's it. It was never intended to be. My connection with poetry, in particular, was a way to journal. It was a way to write out my thoughts, and making it playful, making it rhythmic, making it, whatever, was a way to keep that interesting for me, and it was a way for me to process those things, process those thoughts and emotions. And so you'll find that my writing of poetry mostly came in times of elation or sadness. Not really just because. I didn't write poetry just because. It was mostly a response to an emotion that I was having a time processing. And I think that for a lot of my creative stuff, it's the same thing. And so this was journaling. This was a type of journaling that kept it interesting enough that I would do it, and I did it somewhat in those mediocre times. What I would do is I would think of a line or two. I would think of a little phrase and go, oh, that's really cool, and I'd write it down. And then I might come back to it and flesh it out into a full, size poem. And so this wasn't born out of confidence. This was born out of just a processing of my emotions. And it's the only form of journaling I ever maintained for any length of time. I told you at the beginning of the year I was trying a daily journaling app. I've already failed at using that app. I deleted it recently because it had been months and I was tired of the notifications. I've tried to journal my entire life. I have lots of unfulfilled journals with half the pages written in or whatever. But I find that when things are good, I don't really want to sit down and take the time to write things are good. So I just don't. And I end up only writing these journals in times of again, elation or sadness. And it's part of it is because it's not for me. I don't go back and reread these things. I don't go back and revisit this stuff. This was stuff that I wrote in a moment, and that moment has passed, and I often do not reflect. I do when it's brought to my attention. If somebody says, hey, that behavior you presented is problematic, I'll go, cool, let me reflect on that. But just in my natural state, I don't reflect that often. That's honestly a new thing. Learning to not reflect. That's a challenge because I think that many of you who have been here for a long time know that I had a very difficult time reconciling my perceived failure as a father for my children's for the first X number of years of my children's life. I felt really bad about that, and I just kept feeling bad about it. And I think the thing is that you have to learn from that process is that remuneration. I don't think that's the correct word. Rumination is the correct word. That ruminating over those thoughts and those feelings and that sadness didn't help my current relationship with my children. I had to let it go and just be like, that was me. I'm not. That was a version of me that doesn't exist anymore. I am now me, and now me needs to be the better thing. Now me has a chance to be a better father. Now me has a chance to be more involved and be more excited and say yes when they ask questions and not say no. Past me, he's done. I can't screw it. Like, it's in the past. So I don't reflect a lot. But this kind of goes back to the conversation that I had last week about giving up on my game, my tabletop dream. My dream of working and thriving in the tabletop industry. I carried that dream from the time I was 16 years old, and it always felt like I was on the verge, like I'm gonna make it. And I think that honestly, designing games has been the only time in my life that I felt confident about what I was doing, that I felt like I knew what was going on. Like, if you stepped into my world and I showed you all the things that I have made or drawn or written or done, you would say, wow, look at all this. But to me, that none of that was born from confidence. It was all born from necessity and even art, like, or even this stuff. This is expression. This was me necessitating a conversation with myself. Whereas game design was born from confidence. I thought, I got this. I know how to be a game designer, and I thought I was good at it. And I think that reflecting back on that time, I'm pretty sure I was manic. I'm pretty sure I was going through a very hard manic episode. I thought I was unstoppable. I thought that I was going to be the next insert famous game designer. And I truly believed I had the power to do that. I truly believed that I was designing good games and that I knew what made a good game and that it was no problem. Then my Kickstarter happened and I crashed. I crashed really freaking hard. I crashed extremely hard. My partner at the time said to me, you need another project because I can't live with you like this. And my confidence for that stuff just went out the window. Like, I still feel like I've got an idea how game design works. I still feel like most people can come up with an idea, but very few people can execute that idea. I think that I still have the ability to execute game design ideas. But like Rival Rails has shown me, it's taken me 2 years to push this game to a point where I feel comfortable with it enough to say, I'm getting really darn close this time. And truthfully, if I was doing it as a job, I think I could have had the game done in 6 months or 4 months. It's taken me this long because it's been 6-month breaks. Like, I just have to walk away from it. I played it in January, and the last week was the first time I played it since. Like, I just took a break. I need to walk away for a while and see where I'm at with this thing. And I don't have this kind of confidence. Like, this is private, and I don't have to worry about this being perfect. This is my private thoughts. That's not the goal with game design, right? With game design, it's the opposite. I want people to play it. Like, I want people to enjoy it. And I lack that manic confidence. And so I guess what I'm trying to say here is I currently do not have anything in my life, any aspect of my life that I feel confident about other than my relationship with my kids, my relationship with M, and my ability to cook. I'm currently not confident about anything else that I do. That sucks. That's not easy to admit, right? Because I keep trying, but I haven't found anything that's grabbed me and said, "This is what you're going to do." You know, like this did. This grabbed me and said, "You're going to write." Game design grabbed me and said, "You're going to design games." Programming has grabbed me and said, "You're going to write software." I don't feel confident about any of those things anymore. But I got to keep going. I got to keep trying. That's the hope, I think. So thank you, people. I got quite a few private messages about this. Appreciate it. I think there is something of value in here. I don't think that the poetry is the value, if that makes sense. Let me know what you think. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know sounds smart is recumbent. It is an adjective meaning inactive, idle, lying down. During our Italian cruise, we spent most of our time recumbent on the bow of the yacht, soaking up the sun's rays. Recumbent, R-E-C-U-M-B-E-N-T. I know what that's like. I have learned to become recumbent through M's incessant pleadings that I sit down and relax. And we did a lot of that on the cruise, and it was awesome.